that's the kick and the bass sorted. And now if I mute that for the time being, we can go on to our drums. And let's take these in isolation again. So first of all, we have these hats. You can hear the little phasing action going on there. Obviously this is going to be way too loud in the final mix, but once again I like to get these levels up there. So you get the full kind of harmonic distortion and non-linearity from the API. Let's have a look at this. That's nice and clean, there's hardly any information below there to worry about at all. I don't want to make it too shrill either, so even just a tiny bit of EQ might be too much, but let's try it. Let's try a very kind of simple. There's something I'm going to have to judge once everything is in the mix, but let's leave it up for now. It might be a bit too much. And let's just play with the compression because it might affect it a little bit. Makes it a bit more defined for me. It's going to be right down in the mix, so I think that's fine as it is. And we can move on very quickly to the next sound. Let's get this sound up. There we go. This has probably got quite a bit of noise around here. I can hear it. It's the reverb. Let's take this high pass filter right up. Get rid of all that. There you go. It's cleaned it up nicely. And what I'm going to do here is just, again, open up that top end a little bit just to give it that kind of modern brightness. Again, I'm not going to use a shelf. I don't want to go right up into the high frequencies, so just going to choose something around 8K. There we go. And if I find that too jarring in the final mix, we can always go back. So again, that seems fine. I don't think we need to compress that. It will just bring the reverb up. So here we have our claps. What I'm going to do is loop this section here so we don't have to wait an eternity for the claps to come into the mix. So let's see if what's going on here. Again, very clean. That's lovely. There's no information I need to worry about there. Just slap on a high pass. Don't really need to. It's very strange the way the reverb cuts off there at the beginning, but it won't do that for the rest of the arrangement. Okay, and maybe give this a bit of solidity. It's not the punchiest, most aggressive clap in the world, so we'll try and do something with this. Now I can hear it in the mix stage. It could be a little bit more aggressive, so I'm gonna try something around here, 1K. Let's just give it a boost. That's good. That's made it a bit more solid for me. Certainly don't want to add anything at the top. And something I think it might benefit from actually is a little bit of distortion, but I'm not sure until I hear that in the mix, so I'm going to leave that for now. I'm just problem solving as I go along, but that's fine. Here we go to the ride. Danger with rides, I always find, is they do eat up information across the frequency spectrum, but if you thin them out they sound weak, so it's a bit tricky. You have to kind of do a dip in the middle rather than just a high pass filter all the bottom end. I think you'll see that. So I generally try and do a dip around there. One and a half maybe. And if we increase the top, you'll see what I mean. There, you see it's taking up quite a lot of energy there, but you don't lose the energy because you've increased it at the top end, but you do sort of thin it out. That's much better in my opinion. You have to be careful. There is some nice sort of information down there on a ride cymbal. Okay. So that's the drums done. That's what we have so far. So we just need to go through our synths in isolation now, so we can get rid of that. And now synths, especially ones with a lot of modulation going on and sort of frequency changes, you have to be very careful, because one EQ setting at the beginning of your arrangement is going to put you in trouble later on. So you have to be mindful when you are arranging to watch out for any peaks like that, and that's where compression really comes in and is quite important to use at this stage. So just flick through, see if I EQ'd the bottom to compensate for there not being much information. When that lower part comes in, it'll be overwhelmed. So these generally don't need much EQing anyway. The sounds are kind of sculpted with filters and stuff, and that's your basic EQing. So as I said, what I'm more concerned with here is controlling peaks and boominess. So for now I just put a gentle high pass filter just to rid of any nasty surprises there. Leave the EQ off and just a gentle EQ here. Let's go for a soft knee and a new style of compression, less aggressive. Let's bring our level up, something I forgot to do. That's why we're not getting any, the compressor's not grabbing. There we go. And what's really nice is I've got that nice and loud, and the Studer tape emulation hasn't distorted that at all. It's really nice actually. There we go. I had the other two channels in that whole time, but luckily it hasn't affected what I've done too much. So we adjust the compression here. That's not going to kick in at all, is it? There we go. I really don't like what it's doing there. It's kind of introducing a bit of distortion, so we'll just leave that off. It seems to be a kind of already sculpted sound that doesn't need much. You know, you don't have to use all your plugins just because they're there. That's one of the dangers of having it all at the touch of a mouse, I guess. But here we have our stab sound. Let's get the levels up first. Okay, you can hear how that tape emulation has given that a bit of an edge, which is nice. It's roughed it up a little bit because it was a digital sound, so it's nice to have that kind of rougher edge to everything. Now obviously this is where you do have to start thinking about how it's going to interfere with the bottom end. So we remember from before, again, we've done pretty well. This information is mostly up here, which our kicks and our bass certainly wasn't. So we can get rid of most of that bottom end there. Excellent stuff. Okay, and I am actually going to try and EQ some of that out, because that area there is notorious for creating mud in a track. So let's take out some of that. It looks to be around 180. The API, you always, it's an amazing EQ. The frequencies just seem to be perfectly chosen. Whenever there's a problem area, you just go to your API and it's like, oh, they already knew that that would be a problem frequency. And the 2 dBs, I never have hardly any time where I think, oh, I wish I had a 1, you know, wish I could go to 1 or 3, you know. It really is genius design. Okay, so just tame it off a little bit there, and let's raise some. Let's see if there's anything we can bring out of this area here. Let's go for a shelf, starting fairly low down. There we go. It's opening up something. It's also emphasizing a little kind of clipping sound, which I'm not too keen on, but I think that will get lost in the actual track, so I'll judge that a bit later on. Compression, it's already got that kind of, I think the compression, any further compression might even out some of the sucking sound that we achieved before, so I'm going to leave that exactly how it is. Okay, we come to our final part here. Let's get our levels up. Obviously, these levels are not the levels that I'm going to use to mix with. They're just to hit the console emulation as you normally would in the studio. What you would then use is your faders, your output fader, to then actually mix with, you see. So if you're confused about why I'm sort of making all these sounds go up to 0 dB, it's just so I'm hitting these at the optimum level for what they're made for. Now there might be a bit of high frequency sound coming in here, especially as it's an early plug-in. There might be some, you know, less accurate digital stuff going on. You can see there's something. So if I use the high pass filter, get rid of that. We see this high information goes right up there, so I'm going to also tame that down without making it dull. I'm just in case there's anything taking up energy right at the top there. It's already quite bright, but now we've got that low pass, I can afford to maybe open it out a little bit. It's still going to tame that. It's almost like creating our own kind of bell shape by using a low pass filter and a shelf. Around 500, you can see it's quite loud, so maybe that little peak needs rolling off. Okay.
If you like this course, why not head over to sonicacademy.com, where we have hundreds of complete track builds in every genre imaginable, including all the project files and samples. You'll also find tutorials on plugins and synths, mixing and mastering, over 250 tech tips, artist interviews, along with our award-winning plugins, samples and preset packs.